Without a doubt, the third season of Bluey is the most unforgettable of them all. But do you remember everything that happened before Aunt Brandy finally got pregnant? Or do you recall the episode where Bandit probably got the job offer that made him try to sell the Heeler family house? In addition, we also got to follow a tireless search for true love, and we witnessed the most anticipated wedding in the cartoon world. Aww. All of this happened just in the third season of this incredible show. This was one of the first episodes of the third season, the first depending on which country you live in. In it, we get an even bigger glimpse of the sibling bonds that unite Bluey and Bingo, who have the idea of sleeping in different rooms, but in the end realize that this idea goes against their nature. Also, we discover that Chili still has the desire to be a mother and misses when the girls were little babies that fit in her arms. But for sure, the main idea that will accompany the characters throughout the entire third season is how the Heeler family is really close-knit and everyone loves each other intensely. Even though we end up discovering that some children are more like their parents than others. It wasn't just an episode that showed that Bingo and Bandit are much more alike than we imagined. In Born Yesterday, we realized that Dad Heeler has a true fascination for nature, which becomes very clear when he is looking at a leaf in the park and in the garden of his house. Kind of like the youngest Heeler, who since the first season loves to look closely at little insects, doing so for the last time in the Slide episode. In fact, she and Leela end up saving a little caterpillar that would later become Flappy, who in the episode The Sign would help Chili and the girls find Frisky, the runaway bride. This affinity that Bandit and Bingo have become even clearer in the mini Bluey episode, where the dad ends up blurting out that he likes Bingo more, which ends up leaving Bluey very hurt.
Double bingo! I could definitely get used to this.
What?
But then she ends up forgetting about it. However, the episode of the third season that definitely shows how Bingo is super attached to Dad Heeler is Curry Quest. When Bingo goes to Mackenzie's family's house with Bandit, she ends up discovering that he will be off work for 6 weeks. It was probably in this episode that Bandit met the people who ended up making him a job offer where he would earn much more than in his current job, which, in the end, was what made him try to sell the house and move the family to a faraway place, as we see in the episode The Sign. We realize in the farewell that the affection between the family members is really the hallmark of this show. The problem is that shortly after, Bandit's head would be filled with questions and few answers. And to better understand the repercussions of what happened in this episode, we need to move forward a little in the third season of Bluey. But before that, if you're a Bluey fan, prove it to us and comment below #Bandit. After all, if it weren't for him and Chili, Bluey wouldn't even exist. As we said, let's skip some episodes now in the Bluey timeline, because it's really important to understand how these two, which are almost 30 episodes ahead, are related. Probably after the 6-week trip we saw in Curry Quest, Bandit returned normally to his job in Brisbane. But at some point during the season, he must have received a call from someone he met during the business trip offering him a job that would make him earn much more. And from what we see in the Relax and Stickbird episodes, the Heelers take a trip to relax. But it's obvious that it seems like Bandit and Chili need to make a decision about something important that is bothering them both. We even see Bandit looking desolately at the sea and simulating throwing all his worries into the ocean, letting Destiny take care of his life and his family's paths. And at the time, none of us knew what it was about until the Ghost Basket episode, when we see the for sale sign in front of the Heeler's house. Then, everything made sense. The rain. Remember we said that the third season would be much more focused on the Heeler's family relationship? Probably The Rain must be the episode that makes this even clearer. Even though it's Bluey's show with the fewest words spoken to date, only 9, it confirms one of the most speculated theories of all in Bluey, that our protagonist was a rainbow baby. At the end of this beautiful episode, we see Chili hugging her eldest daughter, watching in the sky the formation of a double rainbow. This is the evidence that everyone speculated about but had not yet been confirmed, that Bluey was born after the Heeler couple lost their first puppy, as everyone suspected since we watched the show back in the second season. This leads us even deeper into the family ties that involve each of the family members, showing that there really are many profound things in this children's show, which also touch the souls of parents and other adults and teenagers who also watch it. Which leads us to the episode where Bandit tells us about his childhood in the crazy 80s. Fairy Tale. The Fairy Tale episode is a sample of how the same people can see things in a completely different way. While Mom Heeler claims she doesn't remember meeting Bandit when they were kids, even admitting that she spent vacations a few times in that same place, Dad Heeler is sure that the little dog dressed as Sheeha who ends up helping him break his curse of not being able to speak was his future wife.
Don't listen to him, it wasn't me.
Don't listen to her. It was.
Anyway, besides being great to see the kids' versions of the two, another thing that draws a lot of attention is the growth of Bandit's middle little little brother, who went from someone who just teased his younger brother to probably his best friend, since we always see them together now that they're adults. Not that Bandit doesn't tease the younger brother anymore, but now he knows that the most important thing is to do good for those we love. That was definitely a very profound lesson, which made him, in his own words, go from villain to Prince Charming. Too bad the princess doesn't remember him, but that's okay. After all, they will meet, fall in love, and get married. Onesies. Still talking about the family ties of Bluey's parents, a little further ahead from Fairy Tale, we can learn a little bit more about Chili's family, finally meeting the little girl who was in the family photo in the healer's living room for a few years. Chili's older sister, Brandy, comes to visit the nieces after not seeing her sister for 4 years. Throughout the episode, we find out that this period of separation between the sisters happened by Brandy's choice. Bingo and Bluey's aunt suffered a lot from seeing that her sister managed to have everything she wanted most in life: puppies. Of course, she was happy for Chili and the girls, but at the same time, it was painful to see that she would never be able to do the same. At least, that's what she and all of us thought, until the Sign episode, as we'll talk about in a moment. Seeing Brandy made fans wonder more about Bluey's mom's family side, and in an episode after Onesies, we had more information about it too. And before we talk about one of the most exciting episodes of Bluey, subscribe to our channel if you're not already subscribed, so you'll always be informed when a new video comes out here on the channel. Dragon. This episode was Dragon, where we see all members of the Healer family displaying their artistic talents and each making themselves in a cartoon version. And we can see that the drawing of Chili is the best made of all. We find out that this is only possible because her mother, the girl's grandmother, when she was a child, encouraged her to continue drawing so that she could become better and better at what she does. That's much better than giving up what you start. We also see that it is implied that Bluey's grandmother died at some point before the girls were born, since neither of them have memories of her. In fact, this may even have happened before Bandit and Chili got married, which would show that she passed a long time ago. Even so, her memories, represented by the horse that becomes a Pegasus, even if they are free, will accompany her forever. TV shop. Moving away a little from the family cycle just from the Healer family, we see that other people within the series sought to do this almost tirelessly. Without a doubt, the biggest example of this is Cornelius, Winton's father, who had 2 girlfriends and a few more dates throughout the series, but they all ended up resulting in more and more loneliness. But this ended when, picking up his puppy from school, Cornelius and the mother of the terriers exchanged glances and later ended up meeting at the department store. There, we see that they met and after that probably started dating, and this was certainly one of the most important things in the series as it directly affected Bluey's future, as we can see in The Sign. Undoubtedly the best episode of the series so far. Practically everything happened in this episode. With Flappy's help, the girls managed to find Frisky, who had given up getting married because she didn't want to move from Brisbane. Bluey had one of the most exciting days of her life because she managed to ride in the front seat. The fantastic Grandpa Bob finally reappeared after spending a long time in India. Brandy appeared 100% pregnant and almost about to give birth to the girl's new cousin. And, for sure, the most exciting thing of all, the Healer family decided not to sell the house anymore, especially after the old buyers gave up the purchase to be able to buy Cornelius's house, who had put it up for sale to go live with the terrier's mother. All of this in a sequence of exciting events that ultimately made several children and adults cry with emotion and happiness. Certainly this episode was striking, just like the entire 3rd season of Bluey. Take advantage of being here and check out these 2 videos we're leaving here for you on the screen. Trust me, they're both really good videos. And best of all, we'll continue together here.